Hello dear fans. Main reasons for the Russo-Japanese War. The Russo-Japanese War of 1905 to 1905 was a military conflict in the struggle for control over Manchuria and Korea between the Japanese and Russian empires. This conflict was the first big war of the 20th century, in which all the latest weapons of the time were used: machine guns, rapid fire and long-range artillery, mortars, hand grenades, radio telegraphs, searchlights, barbed wire, destroyers and battleships. In the second half of the 19th century, Russia was actively developing the Far Eastern territories, strengthening its influence in the East Asian region. The main rival in the political and economic expansion of Russia in this region was Japan, which was striving, at all costs, to stop the growing influence of the Russian Empire on China and Korea. At the end of the 19th century, these two Asian countries were very weak economically, politically, and militarily, and were completely dependent on the will of other states, which shamelessly divided their territories among themselves. Russia and Japan took the most active part in this carve-up, seizing the natural resources and lands of Korea and North China. The reasons leading to the war. Japan, which by the mid-1890s began to pursue a policy of active foreign expansion geographically closer to it, Korea, encountered resistance from China and entered the war with it. As a result of the military conflict known as the Sino-Japanese War of 1894 to 1895, China suffered a crushing defeat and was forced to completely relinquish all rights to Korea, handing over to Japan a number of territories, including the Liaodong Peninsula located in Manchuria. Such an alignment of forces in this region did not suit the major European powers, which had their own interests here. Therefore, Russia, together with Germany and France, under the threat of a triple intervention, forced the Japanese to return the Liaodong Peninsula to China. The Chinese peninsula was not for long. After the capture of the Jiaozhou Bay by the Germans in 1897, the Chinese government turned to Russia for help, which put forward its own conditions, which the Chinese were forced to accept. As a result, the Russian-Chinese Convention of 1898 was signed, according to which the Liaodong Peninsula passed practically into the undivided use of Russia. In 1900, as a result of the suppression of the so-called Boxing Uprising organized by the secret society of Yuhechuan, the territory of Manchuria was occupied by Russian troops. After the suppression of the uprising, Russia was in no hurry to withdraw its troops from this territory, and even after the signing in 1902 of the Allied Russian-Chinese Agreement on the phased withdrawal of Russian troops, they continued to dominate the occupied territory. By that time, the dispute between Japan and Russia had intensified over Russian forest concessions in Korea. In the area of its Korean concessions, Russia secretly built and strengthened military installations under the pretext of building warehouses for timber. Aggravation of Russian-Japanese confrontation. The situation in Korea and Russia's refusal to withdraw its troops from the territory of North China led to an increase in confrontation between Japan and Russia. Japan made an unsuccessful attempt to negotiate with the Russian government, offering him a draft bilateral treaty, which was rejected. In response, Russia proposed its own draft treaty, which fundamentally did not suit the Japanese side. As a result, in early February 1904, Japan broke off diplomatic relations with Russia. On February 9, 1904, without an official declaration of war, the Japanese fleet attacked the Russian squadron to ensure the landing of troops in Korea. The Russo-Japanese War began. Thanks for watching.